Good morning, everybody. KT here with Wise Images Photography, and today we are going to go ahead and talk about aperture, and we are going to go ahead and talk about how aperture affects your bokeh as well as how it lets light into your camera. So let's go ahead and get going. So today you've noticed that I'm in a different setup today because I have my friend Scooby-Doo over there. He's going to be helping us out with the experiment that I've gone ahead and set up. So let's go ahead and talk about aperture first. So basically aperture are your f-stops, and basically that is what controls, one of the things that can control how much light is being let into your camera and on your sensors. So when I think about aperture, I like to think about the pupil in my eye and how it kind of closes up and it opens up, and it closes up and it opens up. And the more that it opens up, the more light that comes in, the more it closes, the less light that it allows in. And that's the way it works with your camera as well. So a lot of times though, people get very confused on like, when am I wide open? When am I closed? What does it do? And all that kind of fun stuff. And what I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys my technique of how I remember it. So when I think of aperture, I think of kind of like being number one is when I'm wide open, because I think I'm number one, I'm first place, I'm the big dog. And by thinking big, I think of my aperture being wide open. Now, if I were not to be number one in first place, and I was maybe to be 16th or 17th or whatnot, then that means I'm kind of like, not so high up, right? I'm kind of on the bottom, right? I'm kind of like the small dog because I didn't get number one. So that means that your aperture is going to be more closed at that time. So hopefully that technique will help you to kind of realize what's wide open and what is closed. So now you understand the number one. So like if you had like a 2.8, that would be wider open than if you had like an f22, which would be really closed up. So hopefully now that part will help you out, as I mentioned, between what's going to be wide open on your f-stops versus what's going to be closed up on your f-stops. So how does this affect your camera? So the wider open you are, the more bokeh you're going to get. You're going to get a softer feel. You're going to get that bokeh. And how I remember shallow depth of field is I remember shallow soft. And the opposite of shallow soft depth of field is, well, we know that the other one is everything's pretty much in focus for the most part, and that would be considered the deep depth of field. So that's how I remember those terms. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and jump over here to Scooby-Doo, and I've gone ahead and I've set my tripod up, and I'm gonna go ahead and take 3 different shots. So the first shot, let me go ahead and put on my lighting because I did not do that. I'm gonna try to give Scooby-Doo as much light as he can possibly have here. All right, Scooby, you ready? I'm ready, everybody. I don't know if that's how he really sounds, but I think I kind of messed it up. I can go ruh-roh. That's about as good as my Scooby-Doo gets. Okay, so anyways, I digress. What I'm doing first is I'm gonna go ahead and I have set my aperture to f2.8. My ISOs are set at 800, and then I've just changed my shutter speed accordingly. And so I'm gonna go ahead and take my first shot here. And what you are going to notice is that a lot of the imagery is pretty soft around Scooby-Doo. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna change my aperture now to an 8. And then I'm gonna adjust my shutter speed. All right. Now in this image, you're going to be able to tell that you have the wordings are a little bit more in focus. So it's not quite as soft as it was with the f2.8. Now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and take that f-stop and put it on an f16. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and set my timer for this one just because I'm really having to slow down the shutter speed. So he's in focus. Wait a couple seconds. And then what you're gonna notice here is that now the wording is even more in focus. And if you can't really tell the difference between the F16 versus the F8, look in the upper left-hand corner. You'll see some flowers over there. And we're gonna go ahead and look at the F16 shot. And now we're gonna look at the F8 shot. And if you notice, the flowers are a little bit more out of focus on the F8. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the wider open you are, the more bokeh that you're going to get. So what we're going to do next though, is I had told you guys, if you watched my video about sharper images, I had told you guys about a technique. And I'm going to go ahead and go over that technique with you so that way you don't get that aberration because you're wide open with your aperture. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take Mr. Scooby-Doo here, and we're just going to move Scooby up. That is the only thing that I'm going to change in this particular instance here. All right, let's take that back because I'm going to have to adjust my tripod just a little, adjust that focal point a little bit. How about I move Scooby? Try to get him in the same line here. Right there. I'm going ahead and I'm going to change my focal point so that I can hit his nose, so that I can kind of be at the same spot that I was when I had him pushed back here. There we go. All right, Scooby, you doing okay? The lighting, how's the lighting there, Scoob? All right, hopefully he's enjoying the lighting. And we're gonna go ahead and keep on rocking and rolling here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop that shutter down to 2.8, or not the shutter, my apologies. I'm gonna stop that f-stop down to 2.8, and then I'm gonna go ahead and adjust my shutter speed. I'm gonna go ahead and take a quick shot, and I'm gonna take it off the timer and take that shot. And now, what you really see is the only thing I've done is I've moved Scooby up. And you can tell from the first 2.8 picture to this 2.8 picture, you can really see the difference in how much bokeh is being created because now that sign is really super blurry. But we're gonna go ahead and bump it up to, we're gonna go ahead and bump our f-stop up to an 8, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the differences here. And now you can see that it's a little bit more clear, but you still have a little bit of that bokeh. And then we're gonna go ahead and change everything. I'm gonna put to F16 at this point. One more snap here. And you can tell that it's coming a little bit more in focus, but what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and look at the different images. What you guys will probably notice, the one with Scooby closer to the background versus the Scooby further away from the background, the one with Scooby-Doo further away from the background is going to look a little bit more sharp because we've created some separation there. So we've really been able to focus in on Scooby-Doo. Overall, I hope that by doing this experiment, I've been able to help you guys out and really help you guys be able to see what the aperture does and how it affects your bokeh. And then also by pulling your subject further away from the background, it allows you to go ahead and create more bokeh that way as well. If you all found this video helpful, please make sure you hit that like button for me so that way others know that this is a cool video and they'll want to watch it too. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss any future episodes. Remember, you are awesome. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you later, alligator.